Welcome back to another episode. Like I said, I haven't been on. I haven't been. I'm the only one doing all this for now, changing the whole direction. Today we have another special guest, Bullet Biter, and who are you guys? And who introduce yourselves?
So I'm Ben. I'm the vocalist.
I'm Andrew. I'm the guitar player.
I'm Nate. I play the bass.
I'm Justin. I play drums.
That's cool. Four-man band. It's a full band this time. That's new. Nice.
Yes.
And where you guys from? And who tell me a little bit about yourselves. What's Bullet Biter means, and what's the song about?
So we're based out of Crown Point, Indiana. So with us being a Midwestern band, a lot of the bands in the area are tending to do a lot of the same thing. As far as the name goes, the name just kind of came out of nowhere. I was having a conversation with an ex-roommate of mine, pretty much just in regards to doing something you didn't want to do with the term biting the bullet. I kind of was able to take that term and kind of turn it into an adjective, calling someone a bullet biter because they bit the bullet or they did something they didn't want to do. And I mean, that's pretty much like where the name came from. As far as stylistically, since I was the guy that kind of reached out to Justin, our drummer, and said, "Hey, do you want to do drums for like a deathcore band?" Thinking along this, the style of like Chelsea Grin or like another technical band like that, and he was all for it. And then I reached out to Ben, and Ben was all for it too. And I mean,
Ben.
when it came to writing like a song like Flatline, I mean, we just sat down like literally in front of my little tiny laptop, and we had that song written in 4 hours. And I mean, it was very similar to the way Meshuggah kind of takes care of their writing, because I know a lot of their writing pretty much stems from the rhythmic portion, basing everything off the drums and everything. So kind of taking that concept and applying it to like the modern deathcore sound, that's essentially how we wanted to go about writing at least a majority of our discography, kind of seeing what kind of songs fit. But as far as Flatline goes, I think Ben has like the best description as to what the song is mainly about.
So basically, Flatline is about saying you wanted to end something soon, like in this form of instance, life. Ending your life soon or taking your own life kind of thing. And then it didn't go through all the way. So you go into a hospital bed and you realize, man, maybe it wasn't, maybe life ain't that bad. Maybe it ain't worth, ending my life over it. And that's kind of where Flatline comes from. Like some of the lyrics in the song, it explains like, I want to show you, I don't want to die. Get me out of this bed. I'm sorry for what I did. It's really just saying like, man, I fucked up and I'm kind of regretting it now. That's kind of where Flatline comes from.
Oh, that's cool. Kind of reminds me of the previous episode. It kind of gives me that vibe. I gave it a listen today, and the sound, it's so nostalgic. The sound's very nostalgic. Like, how do you guys came up with that sound? Like, sounds very nostalgic. I know you guys mentioned about modern bands, like modern deathcore bands like Chelsea Grin.
Yeah.
So like what other vibes are you trying to aim for?
So if I were to like amalgamize, Bullet Biter, summarize it in a like a combination of different ways, I'd say I definitely wanted like the technicality and brutality of a band like Chelsea Grin, but I wanted the intensity of a band like Spite, and I wanted to have the super duper noisy, in your face, just out there kind of sound like of a band like Vane, or even a band like Code Orange, especially like they're like Alpha Wolf as well.
Orange.
That's a really good one. Just having those really intense sound moments where it's like everything's just kind of super in your face, super loud, super obnoxious.
Yeah,
And I feel like sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's a pretty good sound. Speaking of intensity and adding Chord Orange, like I love the uniqueness. Like on Flatline, and I can compare it to between Code Orange, but their previous name I forgot what I know it's Code Orange Kids. I think it is.
Yeah.
One of their songs has a drum bass go.
Yeah.
So kind of like that. So it gives me that vibe, like listening to it, and it's like, okay, right. And then it's like I wanted to get out of my car and just throw my shit. But I'm like, oh wait, but I'm in a rooftop like nearly 10-story top. I mean, it's a very beautiful view looking at downtown, and I'm like, bro, getting angry at a song, it's like it's not the same going to downtown. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
we all miss our venues. It's like, oh man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Listen to-
Yeah.
And I'd say that's another thing too. Like when it came to our writing, is at least for me, but one of the things that I'm always kind of keeping in mind is how is this going to sound live? You know, like I want to make sure that our writing, in terms of like not necessarily technicality, but in terms of the overall feel and the groove, I want it to be something people can kind of vibe to, especially like in a live setting. Not necessarily just go full blown crowd killing on everybody, but to at least have a bit of a groove that anybody, whether you listen to the genre or not, you can just kind of sit there and bob your head, tap your foot along to it.
Or just
You know,
be the arm cross guy, be like.
Yeah.
But when moshing, everyone wants to be that cool guy, cool crossum guy when it comes to moshing time. Be like,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
just go like that.
As the dude that really moshes all the time, there is definitely that guy.
There's always
But,
there's always that guy. There's the the mosh retirement one. Be like, I can't mosh anymore. But as soon as someone slapped you, be like, okay, yeah, So let's see. What's another question I have in mind? So how do you guys came up? How do you guys got together? I know I already asked you that already, but like, how did you guys got that strong interest? Like how did it start with Bullet Biter? Like going back to the first question, because when I think of Bullet Biter, I think of like it's either like the riskiest band. It's either like the riskiest band, like biting a bullet and just make it a positive thing, relating to the last episode with using hate in a very good way, so hearing that name of Bullet Biter, I think of as hate from the last episode. It's like, okay, so between using hate for good and using risk for good, what kind of a message behind Bullet Biter goes?
So pretty much like from my personal experience, there was a point in my life where I was at a really low point mentally, and I had to reach out and kind of, seek help often when I thought I necessarily shouldn't have. But once I finally sought out the help that I needed, that's where I basically got the name Bullet Biter from. I did something I didn't want to do. So overall, the general premise, not necessarily just in, Flatline, but just in the overall premise of the band, is just doing something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a topic that can be widely expressed across our soon to be discography. Just doing something you don't want to do and trying to find a way out of the current situation that you're in. So while the lyrics might be more story-based, more sequence-based, I would say, overall, the general theme is trying to find a way out, trying to find a way to overcome the sickness, pretty much. The sickness, whether it be something that you're dealing with mentally or something you're dealing with physically as well, or an outside conflict as well. Trying to find a way out, whether it be for the better or for the worse.
I like that. With talking about, speaking of story, if we can have any kind of story inspiration, like any kind, what would you add it in your, like, an upcoming EP or LP for Bullet Biter, or any other projects if you guys are in other projects, like for Ben, the main inspiration is like.
Would you be able?
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a bit of a technical difficulty there. Could you repeat that question?
Okay. What I'm saying
Can you
is
hear
that
us?
yeah, I can hear you. Oh man, I kind of lost it there. Oh yeah. What is a really great story would you like to add in one of Bullet Biter's songs, or or a main thing for Bullet Biter's LP or EP?
Mm-hmm. Basically, like, story-wise, like, going with what you're saying, like, honestly, I can't really pick out a story. I can't really pick out a certain story because, like, the problem is there's so many stories based around death, but at the same time, really, I feel like nothing's really hit that mark of death. So I feel like story-wise, I feel like I don't want to hit something that someone else has already done kind of thing. I want to lyric wise, I want to put it like make my own story through it, like make my own feel to it. I want someone to feel something that they haven't felt before with a story based or a lyric based wise kind of thing.
That's the one thing for us. We don't want to be the band that's repeating everybody else's mistakes,
Nah.
everybody else's concepts. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I feel like there's so many ways, you know, whether it could be horrific, you know, like people love to use horrific events as a message, you know, putting those, people will look at it as an entertainment, but like the previous episode, there's two types of fans, like the one that just likes to listen and say, yeah, I'm a fan of it, you know, I vibe to it, versus another fan who like to dig deep. So, you know, like with that fan digging deep, looking at the song like Flatline, looking at the story, they will look at that type of message you guys have as an education, you know, like how that one quote said, pain is an education, not just a reaction, not just a type of a human recoil. It's just an education. Once you got hurt, it's like, fuck, it hurts, ow.
Yeah. That's one thing we definitely want to do is we kind of want to make our listeners think a little bit. We don't want everything to be perceived at face value, because, you know, interpretation is one of the most beautiful things about our common understanding of, you know, different topics and things. So, you know, especially with a name like Bullet Biter, I mean, after we dropped Flatline and hardcore came to the reaction to it, we had people in the comment section that were literally saying like, oh, when you bite a bullet, you know, you're a gunshot victim, you know, or you shot yourself, or you were shot by someone else. And, you know, that just kind of made me sit back and laugh a little bit, because just seeing the different way people will take our concepts and just kind of run with it, whether it be to fit their own agenda or, you know, to just kind of fit what they think they understand, which I think that's pretty cool.
No, that's it's pretty cool, you know, like making the theories of with Bullet Biter, you know. It's kind of like how I used to make theories between the Plot in You, the Acacia Strain, Left Behind, you know, all those, you know. I only look at the name. So, you know, with these names, you know, like everybody has a plot. The Acacia Strain, some kind of disease, and it's just all over, and it's like, not talking about disease, but thanks, Colbert. And then looking at Left Behind. Left Behind. There was another band who has a really strong Left Behind influence to it, and I was like, I asked him these two songs about it. It's like I really love it, you know. And when I think of it as like the next few days, you know, like when I think of Left Behind and the artist, I was like, I can understand what Left Behind means instead of just a band that wants to sound because you want to play live, you know. It's also like going back to the education part is a what you call it, as a type of what you call it,
like a vibe.
I kind of vibe like that, you know. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be left behind, you know, versus I'm sorry, I'm not going up to the upper afterlife, you know. I'm gonna be left behind, bro. You know, just peace out, you know, like kind of like that.
Right, I got you, man.
So so going outside of the music, you know, if you guys were like, if shows are back right now, name top 5 bands will you like to either tour with, or play a show with, or collab with?
All right, so me personally, I would love a tour with us, Unity, Texas, right?
Oh my God, I love Unity, Texas.
Dropout Kings and Last 10.
Yeah.
Right there. Those are 4 bands. I mean, another band I'd love to be able to tour with would probably be Deathbeds out of Australia.
Yeah.
Just because they have a super cool sound.
Dude, talking about Deathbeds, oh my God. They remind me of She Must Burn. Really, another really... it's pretty cool because like they just got started, you know. And then I never heard of anybody outside of the U.S. talk about Deathbed. Whenever I talk about Deathbed Australia, they either like, who the hell is Deathbed? You know, let me listen to them. And the next day, like, oh, I haven't got to hear it, but I did got to hear She Must Burn. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh, it's so cool to hear more bands, you know, especially in the international, starting to like those bands. Kind of like damn, there was another drill. I think it's another band. I don't think they're from here.
Drill.
Drill. Yeah, they kind of sound like
They're from Europe.
yeah, you know, kind of reminds me of Paleface.
Yeah, Paleface. Those dudes are dope.
Oh, those dudes are so
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, they're dope. Love those guys.
What about you, Ben? What bands would you want to?
I would want to do Last 10 Unity, and then I'd probably throw some like hardcore band in, like Spite. Like I know Spite's not really hardcore, but like Spite, Left Behind or Traitors. Any out of those three.
It was nice.
What about you, Nate?
For me,
Yeah, I mean, I would probably have to, kind of piggyback off those guys also. Definitely like Unity Texas for sure, because when they dropped their, their new LP, I was pretty impressed with it. Just like the significant, like, I guess their sound really, just like starting off with their tracks. It was kind of like a weird mix of kind of hip hop and hardcore, metalcore. I was like, yeah, I can get down with this.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So I thought
cool.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would say Last 10 Seconds for sure too, because I've been digging back and forth in their discography lately.
A lot of 10 second fans here. It's funny. I was in a studio of Forerunners, and I found John Huber with Austin Coop in the same studio. So
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to say much about it, but expect Hate Church.
Yeah.
Hate Church.
I mean,
it's common for everybody if you look at the story, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
A funny thing we got going on is John is actually managing us. He's our
John's our manager. We're
word?
We're so basically how Hate Church started. He put a thing out on Facebook, and for my solo stuff, I hit up John. I was like, "Yo, you want to do it?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I was working with him for a little bit, and John was like, "I want to work with Bullet Biter." So like, I think there's another band that's under the Hate Church brand, but yeah, I think that like the first full band on Hate Church that John's been really doing stuff with us for.
So this is the first one.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a first. I mean, like I heard the new music. I heard when I was getting out of the booth with my producer, and then in the next room I hear John Hooper going that technical vocals, and then I go boom boom.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So
the last 10 seconds of life, they're my boys. I know them. I've known them all personally just from the shows, just talking to them. I've even interviewed them myself. So it just kind of fit, working with Last 10 and working with Bullet Biter. It really fit, and John's really been a big help to us. He's really pushed us to do more than what we thought we could have done. He's really pushed us to go that extra leap, and I feel like he's a big asset to us.
Really, really cool, dude. I mean, I wish I would have stayed there and just hear about it.
Yeah.
Dude got an interesting concept. Listening to these past albums gives me that Korn vibes, like really, really Korn vibes, kind of things. I used to blast it on the way to my old band's practice and be like, I like this one right here. Like really, really spicy. And then the next one, a couple of years later, that another album came out. It's like, all right, I can dig with deathcore Korn. No, it goes dun 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 dun, kind of like that. Disc. It's such a crazy song. Like I can imagine with Bullet Biter, Ben, the last 10 seconds, and Paleface all together with that show.
Yeah.
Like throwing hands, and then at the end it'd be like, hey, nice hands, bro.
Yeah. Like I feel like with the new music that we've been writing, it's definitely gonna hit hard, and definitely how these shows are gonna be when COVID's over and when everything's done, set in stone. It's gonna be some crazy shit.
Oh, tell me about it. Like going back to the previous episode, I had a really interesting conversation. How COVID affected all artists or every human. Those are like very, very patient. The day that shows are back, everything's gonna be released. You're gonna see
yeah.
a bloodbath, World War in the pit. You know,
Yeah, man.
Allies versus Axis kind of shit. You know, or
Yeah,
like
it's gonna be some violent stuff. Like,
it's
look,
gonna be some wild shit. Like
yeah,
it's gonna be some wild shit. You know, it's just go in there, just do the wall of death, or just be like, yeah, let's beat each other up. Okay, kind of like
yeah.
that.
I
You
mean,
know.
like literally a year ago, 2 days ago, or yesterday, we saw Alpha Wolf, Fit for a King, Chelsea Grin, and Crystal Lake. We were at their last show they did before the tour got canceled, and
Oh man, I'm
I feel like
jealous.
everyone in the venue knew what was going to happen, so like everyone went like extra hard. Like usually for the opening band, like people, there's probably like that one small mosh pit. No, like Alpha Wolf opened and everyone was throwing down, and it was just it
I'm
was
so
insane.
jealous. I'm so jealous that y'all saw Alpha Wolf. I've been meaning to see Alpha Wolf. Like
Yeah,
they're so nice, you know. Super nice, super nice. You know, especially with the whole we don't talk about that. You know, listening to number two. You know, so technical, and it's like
Right.
super technical. So, you know,
I will say Loki or Lochi. I'm not sure exactly how you say his name, but you know, his live performance, man, he just has a certain like intensity that he brings to the table that just kind of blew me away. You know, and I mean, this is coming from somebody that just went and saw Dealer a few days prior. You know, on the Root of All Evil tour.
oh
So
my
I mean,
god, man! As much as I love to bring up about Dealer, like there is some certain rules on this podcast talk show,
yeah,
but like you know, comparing with, I feel like not to like go at it if I can say it in a very mild language, but I feel like I feel like Dealer is just more the instrumental, you know, because like when I saw Dealer live, people mainly talk about, oh my god, the instrument goes hard, you know. As soon as they hear dun, 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 people just opens the pit, throw their beers at beer holders, and just go in it, you know.
yeah,
And
right.
and then next thing you know, I saw Franz there, and it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's pretty cool. And then like I've always been looking forward to see Alpha Wolf, and then COVID
yeah,
hits and kind of destroyed all that, you know. Now we got till what July 4th till everything's back. Let me ask you guys this: ever since COVID hits, you know, how do you guys cope with each other? You know, keeping in keeping in good shape with creativity, with music and stuff like that.
So one way we've been kind of doing it is, so pretty much not many people know this, but I would say Bullet Biter probably officially started in January of last year. So, you know, with that said, we were together with our two prior members, you know, and we were just kind of coming to, you know, to practice. We were rehearsing, doing that sort of thing, working on writing here and there, and just working on actually physically rehearsing. Um, but with, you know, us all going under lockdown and COVID personally touching our lives with our families and with, you know, things like that, it was a struggle for us to try to meet because we didn't know whether or not it was even safe to. We didn't want to risk catching it and then giving it to people that we care about, you know, and we didn't want to risk potentially being carriers and giving it to people. So there was a good, you know, I'd say 2 months where we didn't meet, we didn't really do anything. And then we finally got back together. You know, we had multiple lineup changes, you know, throughout that time. And I mean, now we started writing towards something, I would say in December or the very end of December. And I mean, we started working on writing towards things. And I mean, maybe a week or two after we started writing, we got into contact with John and said, yeah, we want to do this. And then, you know, it was earlier this year, we brought Nate on to do bass. And I mean, in terms of like, not necessarily putting up with each other, but I mean, we all flow pretty well. I mean, I've got at least 10 years alone, you know, with Nathan. Like he and I were jamming in middle school together. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Justin, I mean, I've known this dude for a good 5-6 years now too. And when it comes to Ben, he and I really haven't known each other the longest, but he and I probably clicked the well when it comes to the overall vision and the overall concept of what we want to go with. So with that said, I mean, with all of us just having a very close-knit friendship at the core at what we're doing, that kind of helps a lot with in terms of the creativity and in terms of just the overall writing and just the overall meshing, because I'd say one thing, music comes, like if somebody has something going on in their lives, we drop everything, we're there for them, so I think if that friendship really wasn't there, it would be a lot harder for us to try to find a way to mesh with each other. And I will say that is something I kind of noticed too about the prior lineup that we had. It was a lot more business oriented, and it was a lot more focused on wanting to get things done, but it really wasn't focused on just making sure practices are spent, doing things that matter, like making sure certain parts of the songs were right, making sure we all sound good together. It was just kind of a trial and error trying to find the right people. But now that we've got everybody here, I think we really mesh really well. And in terms of COVID, I mean, as far as COVID goes, we've been, for the most part, socially distancing. Lately, we kind of meet 2 days a week. Other than that, we'll sit on the phone with each other, and whether we're having a meme war or a roasting war in the group chat, we're sitting on the phone.
What's a band with good communication without having a roast? Even if someone has a bad day, you gotta go from spicy to mild spicy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's it's pretty bad between Justin the drummer and Ben, but without those moments, man, it would be too serious all the time.
Yeah. You got, like, as a band, you guys always gotta like have some fun moments, at least some fun moments, because if a band just comes in on just business, it's be like, man, I gotta get to work, but really you're practicing, and it's like it's not gonna be as fun. Hell, they may draw good music that we never hear before.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's gonna bring like bad energy, and you get to the point where like I'm gonna do my solo stuff. I'm gonna do my other solo stuff. I'm gonna keep that drummer. Oh wait, I'm sorry. The drummer turns out to be a douche, but he's still my drummer though. And their bassist, I don't know what's he doing besides making music for Mortal Kombat right there. Talking to you, System of a Down.
Yeah, that is something we kind of noticed too. I mean, just as far as us getting like the core 4 dudes that we have now, I'd say for myself, like, this is the most confident I've ever been, like, in a band. And I mean, I've been in a plethora of bands. Like, I've been in so many different projects and so many different things that I've kind of worked with. And I mean, Nathan was a dude I was in my previous band with, and he was the bass player for that band as well. And I mean, we were so focused on trying to get a mix together than actually sitting in a room together and rehearsing, that put a lot of, roadblocks in terms of progress, in terms of overall success. And I mean, Justin, I've been in so far 2 other bands with him. I mean, he's the dude that, I would call on when it comes to, needing a drummer, because he's one of the best dudes I've ever seen drum, and as far as Ben goes, I mean, shit, this dude's a monster, like, this dude's literally the best vocalist out here, You've heard his solo stuff, this dude's capable.
Solo stuff, Low on the Shore cover.
Yeah. This dude's got this dude's got some weight, you know what I'm saying? He can hold his own.
Let me ask you guys a really, really interesting one. Between all these projects, what is a good horror story in all these projects? Like, starting with the man who goes into many projects to the least ones.
Well, hold on 1 second. Can you repeat that again? My bad, man.
I said, what's a horror story out of all the band? What is a good horror story? Meaning that
Shirt on, pretty scary story.
Or meaning that what is your worst experience that felt horrific?
The absolute worst experience, I would have to say, would be going up on stage for my very first performance ever, and not necessarily being able to hear myself during the live performance. So I was all sorts of messed up. One of the worst things also was the guitar player I was with, he just kind of carried on a 5-6 minute solo. I was completely out of the loop. So it just kept going. He just keeps shredding and shredding and shredding, and I'm just looking at him like, dude, you done yet? What like we need to move on. Like we need to like either end the set here or just
It's always that
find another song.
It's always that guy be like, hey,
Yeah.
the song's not over until I'm done shredding. Next thing you know, he released another Bell Witch album, but instead it's just him shredding for like an hour.
Right, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as horror stories go,
Like I got a couple. Like you've heard my music. It's like my solo stuff. It's really violent stuff.
Yeah.
And, I was telling you last night, like, yeah, I like it when kids throw down. I'm not going to stop a kid from crowd killing if they just like throw one punch and then leave or some shit and they just get along. But like, I've seen some like literal, like people like close to beat someone to death. And I've been to also shows where people are just like legit, like throwing fucking hands and stuff, pardon my language. But, also like there's a local band out here called Deaf Ear. I saw them at a local club. And there was a big fight and like the show had to be stopped like 2 bands in because there was like a really bad fist fight. The video's on YouTube. It's on
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look that up. Kind of reminds me of that one show in Steven's birthday where like before Body Snatcher, it was a band called Deadlands. It turned out to be a war zone.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out to be a war zone. If you drop your phone, wallet, or keys, that's technically loot you found.
Yeah.
You found. So you hear that war zone go, and then be like, okay, yeah, let me smack this dude for a little more, and you drop some loot. That's a nice phone you got there.
Yeah, like another horror story I can say too is I went to the Eternal Nightmare tour with Chelsea Grin, Acacia Strain, Left Behind, Traitors.
That is a tour.
Fight.
That is a tour.
Yeah, like that was a great show. I just remember though, like Traitors opened like 5 minutes after the doors open, and people were thrown down. It got violent. I just remember though when Chelsea Grin started, Tom had to stop Requiem in the middle of the song, and he was telling people like, "You got to calm down, or we're getting off the stage." Like dudes were like throwing down. Same with Traitors and Left Behind. Like no one was really like vibing with Left Behind. I was like the only dude, but then like Tough Love played, and everyone was like throwing down, and yeah.
Yeah, speaking of violent bands, between Spite and the Acacia String, was like that is the first time in the show that is like I got my first injury there. I couldn't talk. Half of my jaw almost came out, so I had to like. Doctor said it was easy to like put back, with no surgery whatsoever. I have to talk like this all night. Pretty much Vincent out there had an interview like, yeah, I had some fan, who had to talk like this, but we were good, I mean, one of those interviews, like I've been searching for it. Hopefully, like there is some bands out there will talk about it without mentioning their name, mentioning their look. They'd be like, yeah, so I had an experience with this fan,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you go into like more of the hardcore scene, like our bass player Nate can tell you, like a lot of those shows get really violent too. Like if you look at any Knocked Loose show or Sworn Enemy show or Marauder show, like people are throwing hands at those shows, and there's even beatdown bands like Stone Cold Stunner. Like that's just you're there to fight people. Like you're not there to listen to the music. You're there just to like throw down and fight people. Like there's a lot of stuff where it gets really scary.
Knocked Loose. Like in Florida, Knocked Loose with Bloodbather, you gotta be prepared. Yeah. You gotta at least prepared coming in there to get your ass kicked. Because once you're in the front and Jesus Piece is open, I don't know what his bass name is, but expect to get decked in the neck. Expect to get decked.
Nate like could tell you some stories. Like Nate, if you want to say a story.
I'm kind of interested to hear about that. I feel like Nate is just quiet there. Be like, oh, okay, I can definitely.
That's Justin. Justin's the quiet one. Yeah. But Nate's got some stories. Nate, do you want to tell him some stories?
Yeah, sure. So we actually not too long ago, I forget what the date was exactly. We went to go see. Who was playing? It was Vane. Vane was playing that day.
Vane, Soft Kill, Higher Power, Modern Color.
Yeah, that was actually a really killer show for the lineup. It was kind of like a mix up of a few different genres. And Soft Kill, like I was never familiar with them up until they played, but they're really killer. But we went to go see Vane because that's who we were there for the most part.
Vane
And
is
not
violent.
even like 2 minutes into the set, like the pit's already moving, and I see this girl running out of the venue with like her whole face like bloodied. Like I think like it looked like her tooth got knocked
Oh,
out. or
yeah.
something.
Oh
I
God. I seen that before. I seen that shit before. There was a vlogger talked about it. There was a vlogger talked about it, and then it kind of happened in I think one of the Tele show when Spike played. You know, it was like
Rage Fest
Rage
2018.
Fest 2018. It was a
Yeah.
huge circle pit between Despise or Night Terror.
Yeah.
My goodness, talking about injuries there.
Yeah.
Talk about it. It's like a running away from fear kind of stuff, you know.
Mhm.
And it's always that one person will fall down, nobody won't see, you know.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Might have to I might have to find that, you know. Might have to note that down between that one video. I'm gonna look for that video. Whatever.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
When this is all over, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that, and
Yeah.
then that one other one with covered all blood and face like that. I mean, it's not the
Yeah.
first. It's not the first time seeing that, you know. I mean, like I know pretty much you guys seeing that one person leaving the venue with blood in his or her or they's face,
Yeah.
and then just be like, holy shit! Either that person's injured or it's a ghost in there.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. There's a lot injured. Like I've seen some light bands like where it just gets violent. Like
Violent.
it just really like it depends on like who's there, who's ready to throw down. You know, is that one dude going through some stuff to the point where they just want to fist fight people? Like bands like Kaonashi, like you listen to them, like they're not like heavy, like they're angry, but it's like you listen to them compared to a band like Knock Loose, Vane, Jesus Piece, but the intensity's still there. It's the same stuff. Like you listen to a song like Real Leather, people are still. It's like a basic metalcore band, but not basic, or like metalcore, mathcore. They're really cool. I don't know if you've ever heard them, but you should probably check them out.
They remind me so much of Dillinger Escape Plan, except
The
like
Dillinger Escape
the
Plan, yeah.
Dillinger Escape Plan. Oh,
Yeah, they're the tits.
oh, those are the guys that I could see Kainashi going along with them. Like, you know, kind of like when I think of Kainashi, I used to think of like, oh, that anime. But when I think of the band, you know, like when I look at it as a band, I'm like, this is Dillinger. Excuse me, the Dillinger Escape Plan's upcoming band. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I love when I get confused by sounds with bands because you know like
Yeah.
you can see their inspiration about that. So like Victims, for example, I keep mistaking
Oh, I love those
I
guys.
keep mistaking Victim as Corn. You know, like
Yeah, victims is, I think though with like Bullet Biter though, like that's what we're trying not to do. We're trying not to sound like every other band. We
No,
wanna be
but
like,
you wanna have like inspirations to it. You
yeah,
know?
we can always have that inspiration, but we want people to look at it, hear us and go, that's Bullet Biter. We don't want people to hear us and go, that's this band or that's that band. Like bands like there's a band like, you know, Left to Suffer, you know, there's people apparently like lately people have been saying like they sound like Wage War. I don't want people to look at Bullet Biter and say that. I want people to look at us and say, this is Bullet Biter. This isn't this band or this band. No, this is Bullet Biter. Like the
Yeah.
influences will always be there, but I want personally to make that new sound, make our own sound. I don't want it just to be what's already been put on the market today kind of thing. I think
I mean,
Andrew can agree with
Yeah.
that too, and all of us.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to like piggyback off that. As far as like music, like there's nothing really, like I should say, there's really nothing new under the sun as far as you know, structure wise. You know, nowadays it's really how you play it. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
you got
it's-
like guys like Dillinger doing like crazy mathcore shit, and you got like straight up beat down. You know, and it's, like combine those two. You know, it's really just how you structure your song and how you implement those things and create
Yeah.
like a new sound or a new song.
Yeah, those are so cool, you know. Like those are really cool, especially like added that energy to live, you know. Especially with the whole lockdown, social distancing, and all a year with no shows going on now. Not talking about the people who's playing shows during the pandemic. Um, there's so much time. I can see people are throwing their new creativity. So
Yeah.
what the way I can see Bullet Biter, I can see you guys like adding some really cool nostalgic new metal that we
Yeah.
haven't heard in such a long time.
Mhm.
People will say like people will act like it's embarrassing to add it, but it's always a fixing or it's like we
Yeah.
never heard this technique in such a long, long time that we would
Yeah.
love to bring it to the real world. It doesn't
Yep.
matter if they don't bring that anymore. If they don't bring it anymore, you can bring it to live. For example,
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys never heard of Worm Shepherd. Like
Oh yeah, Devin's the homie.
I love Devin. I love Devin. I played
Devin's a good guy.
I played Call of Duty with him one time, and
Yeah, he's chill. He's a great.
he's chill.
He's like barely older than me, and this kid's like one of the best, if not the best, in the scene at the moment.
Oh my god, tell me about it. He reminds me of Tilla from Mayhem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first heard of Devin, I love how I immediately say, okay, this is Worm Shepherd, before I said Lorna Shore, but I'm like, it's so nostalgic, that we don't hear those anymore. It doesn't have to be just new metal or death metal, but it can be with deathcore, that we never hear anymore. Like going with black metal sound, but with slam vocals, not like
Yeah,
just
man.
so much,
Yeah.
not like so much of symphonic, not to go after any other bands thinking black and deathcore is just about symphonic and then just riffs. It can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. There was another band. I highly recommend checking out Ninefill. Ninefill. One of his. You heard of Ninefill, right?
Oh yeah, dude, I've heard of a lot of obscure stuff. Like I'm really heavily involved in the scene, so
Yeah.
if there's a lot of bands I've heard.
Yeah, it's really really scary, dude. I was just speaking to him about it. Like what I love about Ninefield is like they're not just black and deathcore. They're not just like influenced like Infant Annihilator, but I can have like a little thing like go because I talk about black metal a lot with them, especially with shows back in the day. I used to be hey, sell me that Gorgoroth shirt that you have there. He's like, I sold that a long time ago, but like we can show you live. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not to mention, they played in a church. I will show you the video.
Yeah.
I will show you the video as soon as we're done. They played in a church.
Yeah.
Not
like.
I'm sorry. Not as Ninefield, but a feast for an entity.
Yeah. Like going back to what I was saying too. Like last night, like I said, like I was Catholic. Like I think that like black metal, black and deathcore, like all that stuff, like a lot of that dark imagery is really put into it. Like I feel like personally me, there's more than just that symphonic stuff. Like it's the way you do your vocals. It's the way, because you can do your vocals like the dude from Awakened Providence, or you can do your vocals from like
Providence,
or David Simonich from Signs of the Swarm. Like there's a lot of different vocal styles you can do. I just feel like it has to have that certain vibe, not really like symphonic or the drum waves. It has to have that vibe. Because you listen to a band like the newer Black Tongue, and you listen to a band like Lorna Shore. They're two totally different things, but they're both black.
They're two black and
yeah.
I agree to that. I really love how you brought that up. With Lorna Shore and Black Tongue. When I think of Black Tongue, I feel like Black Tongue influenced a lot of Foreigner beatdowns. So if it weren't for Black Tongue, there would have been Humanity's Last Breath. That is I find that as atmospheric, like atmospheric deathcore. It attracted a lot of doom metal. It attracted a lot of black metal kids or funeral metal to like. I really vibe with Humanity's Last Breath. Next thing you know, all these so-called elitists just start exploring. I'm gonna wrap this up with one last question that relates to what I just said.
Yeah.
If you were to have new fans, what from whatever, not just deathcore beatdown, what kind of fans would you like to have? What kind of reaction from those new fans would you like to have? Like think of as nostalgic sounds and all that.
So the kind of reaction I want from our fan base, I mean, from the minute you press play on a song like Flatline, or even on some of the newer stuff that we got cooking up, I want them to not accept what they hear at face value and to be kind of like what you mentioned before. I want them to dive deep into it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of an overall reaction, I just want them to feel something from the music. I want them to kind of understand that there's a deeper meaning behind what we're doing. I want all of our, newer fans to at least just be shocked by that we were able to pull off something.
Yeah.
As crazy as what we did with Flatline. I mean, just listening to or seeing Hardcore Keem's reaction to Flatline.
Yeah.
Like, we broke that man. We put that man into straight up reset mode.
Yeah, like
I mean, that was like the coolest thing ever. That's the kind of reaction I want to give people.
Yeah, like usually when people hear Flatline, they listen to that breakdown and they're like, "Yo!" Like when Flatline first dropped, there was people that were even saying like, "That's not even a breakdown." And there was just like a comment war going over, like, yeah, this is a breakdown. No, this isn't a breakdown. Keem, I just remember though, Hardcore Keem sitting there and like he heard that drop and he was like, what did I just hear? Like Keem, you know how Hardcore Keem is. He gets up, he throws down.
Yeah,
like,
I think I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Like Keem, like what I was saying though, like Keem gets up, throws down and stuff. Like that was genuinely the first video to where it was like Keem was like, he was stunned. He didn't know what to say. Like he didn't know what to do. I feel like that's the kind of reaction. I think all of us can speak on that too. Like that's the kind of reaction we want people to feel with our music. Like what the hell? Like what did we just hear? Like how, I don't know how to feel, but it feels good in a sense. Like the feeling feels so good. Like it feels so good, but you don't know why it feels so good.
Yeah, like
it's questionable. So it can those type of questions can attract normies to those kind of music. So I mean that I can see Bullet Biter going to that direction.
Yeah. Nate, Justin, what do you guys feel about what do you want the fans to hear? Like basically, like what do you want them to feel? Like what would you guys say? Justin, what would you feel like? Like you want them to feel good, you want them to feel powered. Like how would you want a fan?
Like honestly, I kind of showed my friend, and she was like shocked because she's not into this type of stuff. And honestly, she showed a lot of her friends, some of her family, and they were honestly speechless. And I kind of want that effect, and because like it's like a good feeling too. So
yeah. Well, like Nate, what would you say that like what would you want the fans?
For me personally, bro, I want to turn a straight up pop fan into a Bullet Biter fan. In all honesty, it's just kind of an ambitious goal.
I track all the BTS fans.
Yeah.
That K-pop scene, but yeah.
We want the K-pop scene to be at every single one of our shows.
No, but seriously, like I definitely want like people to hear this and be like, exactly what Andrew and Ben said. Like what did I just listen to? Definitely like soaking in lyrically and instrumentally. Being able to press play and finish the essential project, and be able to replay it consistently and be like, what the hell did I just listen to? I need more. Leave them with that feeling of wanting more.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wanting more of that song kind of reminds me of the Normies on System of a Down or Deftones and all of that. So
that's for sure. That's one thing I think that's I don't think it's really a bad habit, but it is a habit of mine. Is I do write really short songs. I don't know if that's a blessing in disguise, but in terms of writing things for Bullet Biter's discography, I want the audience to just kind of sit there and be like, I need more of this now. And have that replay value, where they're going to go back and they're going to keep listening to what it is that's already out, which we've had Flatline out for, as long as
change.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been out for a while, and people are still bumping it. We want that to have our entire discography to have that kind of replay value, where people are just gonna keep bumping it and listening to it.
Yeah, like Flatline, like right as we dropped Flatline, that's when we were promoting and stuff. But like going through the phase of like member lineup changes and like style changes, not really style, but like music changes and stuff. We really did little to no promotion, and we were still getting fans asking us like, "Yo, when are we getting more? Yo, when are we getting this?" And dudes were still talking about it, and we still have dudes talking about Flatline to this day. We want that to be like for each song. Like if we drop one of our new songs that we have, we want people to feel like what they did with Flatline. They want to be like, "Holy, like I want more," kind of thing.
Yeah, so kind of like a recoil reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are pretty cool. And that's kind of like my reaction where I used to say like, okay, I'm getting low with hardcore to like, I gotta stop sleeping on hardcore. So one last question before we conclude. This is a really common one. I like to end this question with every artist or band, or every artist and bands or directors.
Yeah.
But when are we expecting any new Bullet Biters or any details for Bullet Biters release date?
So, I kind of mentioned earlier, we started writing in December. We don't know what we're writing towards yet. We don't know whether it's going to be an EP, an album. You know, we don't know if you guys are going to get 12 songs or 3 songs. At the end of the day, we are entering the studio March 28th and 29th is when we're beginning tracking towards something. So very soon. We've got some plans in the works. We're not going to be the typical local band that says big things coming soon and then just fall off the face of the earth.
Big things coming soon. We're opening up. We're Escape the Fate.
Yeah. You know, with that said, we've got some stuff planned. It's just a matter of how patient our fan base is going to be.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you know, I mean, one thing I'd want our fan base to know is we're not dead, you know, at least on the outside. We're here, you know, we're making noise still behind the scenes, and just be ready. Keep your eyes peeled, you know.
Yeah, we haven't sunk.
No, guys gotta keep alive. Thank you guys so much, like, for joining, like, last minute. I mean, I know I'm free all this week, and I was like, I need to go in a different direction. Thank you to Bullet Biter. Thank you to Ben for joining, and yeah, I hope you guys can. I hope you guys release another music, and maybe we talk about some of the new stuff soon.
I mean, if you want, man, we could send you something after it ends.
Sure. I'm down.
We'll give you a bit of a sneak peek before anyone else gets here.
But you can't tell anyone, can't say anything. This has got to be like
Hey.
kind of stuff.
Hey. If we're showing, Kansai's and Nagrats are putting out shit. Those are my 2 bands. So
Yes,
trade.
I can't wait. I saw some of the merch drop. I'm excited. Can't wait to check your stuff out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and hope you guys have a good night.